Hi there, it's Sarah from Inspire Tarot. Welcome to the channel. Let's see what message Spirit has for us today. Wish upon a star, higher view, bearing fruit, and the land between. Willing release. Okay, so wish upon a star. So our greatest wish is to return to love, but in this world we know, or we think that we find love through doing things that we love, and to some extent that we do. You know, the Spirit wants us to follow our bliss, to ask for what we want and to go for what we want, because in that way we can co-create with the Spirit. The Spirit uses our interests and the things that light us up, our desires. It uses them for our mind training. So we kind of get the double benefit. And because mind training can be challenging and painful, it helps that we're moving towards and engaging in things that matter to us. It gives us that consensus and motivation to carry on. And we have a bit more tenacity. And quite often with things that we like and our desires, we have skills and things in this area as well. And even though they're ego-given skills, it doesn't really matter. The Spirit can still use them. It definitely uses them to keep us motivated. So yeah, whenever we have a wish or something that we want, then we should move towards it in the knowing that it's right for us. If it feels good, then it's for us. And I've followed these whims and things I've liked in life, and I've learned so many things. I'm the kind of person who's very interested, and I like to study and understand things and kind of dissect them and pull them apart. And looking back, I can see how they were all part of my journey. I've always been very interested in psychology, like personality theories, philosophy, and anything to do with transformation, particularly improving ourselves. Or I also like renovating houses, turning houses that were like just a dump and tired into something amazing, because I like that transformation. I like to see the contrast. And I think it's something that a lot of us feel called to do. So we should just all follow our path, whatever that is. If you feel an inclination to go for something, then definitely go for it. And the Spirit will help you for sure, because that's the way the Spirit works. A higher view. So whenever we have a higher view, we can see that everything is in divine harmony. We can see that all things work together for good. We can also see, this is a big one, but one that I particularly like, is that the darkness serves the light. These are actually our darker experiences that motivate us to heal and to progress. Not just individually, but collectively. You know, as we see things happening in the world that we don't like, we want to change them. And before we realise that the world is a mirror, we actually try and change the reflection, which is kind of ill-advised, but then at the same time, it's all we know at the time, and we go and do that. And I think many people are at this stage where they're kind of into activism. One thing that I saw on Facebook this morning was the greatest act of activism is to be a living demonstration of the kind of person you want to be. And I shared it on my Facebook because I thought that was a really beautiful way of explaining that we need to change ourselves, not change other people. Because the external world that we experience is a projection of our own state of being. There's no point trying to correct it. You know, we need to change the artist, not the painting, if we want the changes. Because whenever we change ourselves internally, it reflects outwardly in absolutely everything, not just in one thing, but in everything. So whatever we heal reflects different aspects of our lives. And it's quite miraculous how it works. I don't fully understand. Sometimes I do, but a lot of the time we don't understand how the changes are happening, because we don't really understand how the distortions are happening, because we're just very confused and distracted by the ego. But we have to understand that the process is always bearing fruit, and the whole point of the journey is to feel better, is just to feel happier and safer, more trusting, more open. And as we go about our forgiveness lessons, then we do feel this. We feel better inside, we feel safer, and we just feel more at one with everything. You feel more comfortable in the external world. And we need to understand that if we're not judging people, if we look upon everybody with love, you do see them differently. I had a guy come flying down the road the other day in the car, and the ego's initial reaction is, he's an idiot, he's dodgy. And then I always change it in my mind. I don't want to believe what the ego says. He's a sweet person, he's just driving home. And then it lightens, and the heaviness goes away from it. And this is something that we just do on repeat when we want to purify the mind. Because who wants to go through life thinking that there's dodgy people everywhere? It's not a nice feeling. And because we do appropriate versions of people, and much of the issues that we think we have with people are only ever in our mind anyway, then we can draw out very different versions of people. And I know that for a fact because I've done it myself. So it's definitely worth doing the inner work, and it does apply to many different areas. And just allows you to have fun with everyone and see that every encounter, every person that you meet, you're meant to meet, and you're meant to have a holy encounter with them, and you're meant to make them feel better when they leave you. That's one of the things it says in the course about whenever you part from somebody, make sure that the experience that you've had with them has lightened them and lifted them up. And whenever we have these holy encounters with people, we just make the best of them. And then it always does feel good, because that connection returns us to unity. So that's what we just need to remember over and over again. The land between, this makes me think of liminal space, where because we're always growing, we're kind of aware of where we want to be, but at the same time aware of where we are. So we need this desire to be more, to grow and to expand in order to keep moving, to not stagnate. But then at the same time, we want to be accepting of where we are now. Because if we have that destination addiction, then that doesn't feel good. That's kind of the epitome of hell. Hello, Pulse. To want to be somewhere different to where we are. So, yeah, if we understood the bigger picture, we would just be very grateful about the fact that our journey is unfolding at a rate and a pace that is right for us, that we can cope with, that stretches us, but is not going to throw us into something that's more difficult than we can handle. Quite often we want things before we receive them, but we're not ready for them. And the Spirit knows that. So the Spirit is kind to us in ways that we don't really understand. And this land between is just being very accepting of where we're at. That's kind of how I see it. And the understanding that we're always moving forward. And being in a state of gratitude and appreciation for where we're at is going to lessen the gap and just almost make it disappear when we're just grateful for the fact that we are where we want to be. Because really, whenever we think we're looking for something different in the form, we're not really. We just attach our feelings to things in form, but that's never really the case. It's just the acceptance and the remembrance that we're not really in the world at all, that we are in God's mind. We're in heaven and we never left. And as soon as we get back to that state of mind, then we can relax and fall back into that peace and that knowing that everything is okay. And this card kind of ties in with the willing release, which just makes me think of surrender. We need to surrender to the process. We also need to surrender to the fact that sometimes it's going to be uncomfortable as we grow. Every time the caterpillar comes out of the cocoon, It's obliterated from its previous state, turns into goo before it transcends. The Oracle's gift. So to me, the Oracle, I don't know what the term is in the book, but the Oracle is our knowing, our intuition. So when people say I'm going to refer to the Oracle, it means I'm going to refer to the place where everything is known, which is essentially our intuition. And our intuition is a gift because it understands the bigger picture. It understands where we are on our path. It understands what we need. You can think of it as the intuition or the Holy Spirit or angels or guides, higher self, right mind, whatever you want to think of it as. It doesn't matter. It doesn't need to be religious at all. In fact, if we have lots of religious beliefs that are kind of dogmatic and not great, then it can hold us back if we're too focused on. For example, it took me about 2 years to be able to say that I liked God or I loved God in public, because before that I didn't really believe in God. I certainly didn't believe in a God that would create a world like this. So our idea of what things mean will change over time, particularly if we're growing and learning. So yeah, our intuition is that oracle, it's that higher knowing, and we can trust it and rely on it. And this is one of the things that I'm enjoying with the cards, and other people do with the tarot cards, is that we have that physical proof of what's going on in the mind or what we need to look at. They're just symbols that the spirit can use to help us. And there's nothing wrong with that. There's nothing wrong. You know, I can hear my intuition quite well. In fact, I've always been able to hear my intuition all of my life. I've always been strongly guided by it. I've also been strongly guided by the ego, though, as well, unfortunately. I always thought of the intuition as like your conscience. It's the part of you that knows what's the right thing to do. And it's different in every situation. You know, I can't apply it in a blanket way because the circumstances of each situation are always different. But yeah, the fact that we have this higher knowing that can guide us is wonderful. Great and full. And in perfect harmony. So great and full makes me think that our cup is full. It's always running over. And it's up to us how much we will accept of it or how much of it we will share with others. Now, one of the things that I'm learning about sharing with others is to put myself first. I've always put other people first. So yeah, our cup is full and runneth over, as it says in the Bible. And depending on how much guilt and fear and shame, depends on how much of that we can share with others or how much we can let in. And it's not a linear process as we heal and allow more and more in. And sometimes it can feel as though we're going backwards, but actually what happens is a lot of our issues were kind of suppressed and repressed. And then eventually as we heal, the spirit knows that we're strong enough to face them, so they come up. And then we're able to share our cup of love with other people and our resources. And sometimes we go through phases where we need to focus on ourselves. I think it depends on, everybody has different challenges and things. That's why it says in the course that everyone's curriculum is highly individualised. Depends what they've got to work on. For me, it was self-love. It is self-love. It's to balance myself and other. And for many people, it's the same. But yeah, the more we heal, the more we are available for others. One of the things that I've noticed is my ability to listen to other people. In the past, there was too much noise in my own mind. I couldn't really concentrate. Everything they said triggered a thought in me that would make me spiral. Whereas now I can listen to people more, which is a wonderful gift. It's nice to be listened to. But yeah, the spirit will provide everything for us that we need if we just ask and trust. But we have to, there's no point asking for it and then not expecting it to come. It's like we need to ask for it and then trust that it's given. And the perfect harmony card reminds me that everything is in perfect harmony at all times, just because we can't see it. Alan Watts did a video a long time ago about this, and about, I can't remember exactly what it was. It was some blood cells or something, I think, that looked, when you looked zoomed in on them, it looked like they were attacking each other. But actually, from the wider perspective, it was a process within the body that was necessary for its wider functioning. And quite often, a lot of us do need to go through these, or all of us do need to go through these difficult challenges in order to see that, you know, I'm worthy of more than that, or I don't deserve that, or I don't want my life to play out in that way again, which forces us to heal. So the darkness is always guiding us. And the more the light wants to come up, the more darkness is going to get pushed up for us to look at. And over time, we take it less and less seriously when it comes up. And there's some things that are quite challenging that come up over and over. There's always a few big forgiveness lessons in each lifetime for everybody. But we just have to understand that the bigger picture is at play, and that the Spirit has all of us, and that everything is working, because the world is essentially meaningless. And we're just stuck in our own interpretations that make us feel as though things are going wrong, but nothing is going wrong. And I love the way situations and people dovetail together, that kind of play out each other's polarity. It teaches us to come back into balance on our own. It's clever how the universe works, really. Birds of a feather. So this makes me think of things of a like mind are attracted to each other. And when we want to move away from something difficult, this can feel like a bad thing. I mean, I find that throughout my life, my friend groups have shifted. I have a few friends that will stay in my life forever, but many friends I've outgrown so many times over. And it's just part of our path. I think if we are on a spiritual path, then that's quite normal, to grow and things to change, and just to let them fall away. And that we will be drawn to people of a like mind, or people that play an important role in our journey at any given time. And just accept that everything is given, and that try not to get attached to things and people. I know it can be challenging not to attach to things and to experience loss. But nothing can be lost. I was watching a cute little video on Facebook the other day about animals that people rescue, and then they run away. And you know, your immediate reaction when they run away is, oh, they've gone. But they haven't gone. They're just moving. They've just moved somewhere else within the whole, within the quantum realm. So they haven't gone, they're still there, just doing their thing, and we don't need to be attached to their physicality. They just came into our life for a while because it was helpful for them and for us, and that's a beautiful thing. Not being attached to things is great. We just want to be attached to the truth and to divine love, and then we don't need anything else. The last card is Seeing Beyond. So, yeah, this lady's third eye is prominent on her head. So, yeah, when we're asleep at night and we're dreaming, we can see everything, but our eyes are shut, and we see with the mind's eye. And the mind's eye can see into all different dimensions of time, can see what's coming, so understands the bigger picture. So this part of us, our intuition, just knows. I quite often know. There's certain things in my life that I've just known that I didn't need to worry about, or I just knew that they were coming. And there is a part of us that just knows. For me, it's, you know, I think of it as I chose my life path. And there are times where it's almost as if inside me there's an awareness that I'm about to enter into a new, or transition into a new period of my life that was pre-scripted, and there's a very clear and strong awareness of it, not necessarily the details, just I can feel big changes are coming, or that something is going to play out a certain way. And we can see beyond, because we're not really located in time and space. We just think we are. And it's just good to know that everything's in divine harmony, and that we always, our get out whenever we don't feel good is to remember the truth, to see beyond the illusion, and remember that we're in the world but not of it, and that only love is real. So yeah, I enjoyed doing this reading today. I hope you enjoyed it too. I love you all. Bye.